everyone, I'm Stuart Kavanagh and welcome to the After Extra Time podcast where we talk about the big news, the big games and the big names in the English Premier League. This week, Paul wasn't able to join us, but we have got him covered by none other than the co-host of the fantastic Insert Name FC podcast, Mr. Hector Flores. Hector, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well. The Houston Astros just beat the Boston Red Sox, so I'm feeling pretty good about myself.
Looking forward to those World Series, mate.
Yeah, aside from being a big fan, obviously, of the game of soccer and football, I am a huge baseball nerd. So that's if I were to pick a team in the if I was like overall any sports team in the US, I am a Houston Astros fan through and through.
How you feeling about your Premier League team, mate? How you feeling about the Gunners?
Crystal Palace was an ugly game.
It was not a pretty thing to watch. Yeah,
I was expecting an ugly game, and I got an ugly game. So pretty straightforward. Nothing really much else to say on that one.
Yeah, you think you might have the wrong ex-captain in the dugout?
Look, we obviously from kind of like a changeover from the last time we were on. I mean, I still have my doubts with Arteta and the way Arsenal's being ran, but obviously they also start off not the best. Like the last thing you want to do is start your season off with Manchester City.
Absolutely. Yep.
So they definitely kind of got raw dog going into the season, but you still got to play your season nonetheless. You still lost to Brentford. That's not going to change anything. So Arsenal has their things, but I think once we really see what Arsenal is, which I mean, even right now, I still don't know what that is. They don't look as bad right now. So, I mean, I feel like they've kind of found their groove. I think now we're going to start seeing the players that we should be seeing. But I think at the end right now, Arsenal is going to go depending on how Aubameyang is going to be. So if Aubameyang is going to be scoring the goals like we all hope he does, and I'm a big Aubameyang fan, but if he's hot, the team's going to be good. If he's not available, if he's not going to be of good service, then that's just what sums up what Arsenal's performance is going to be. So it really just all depends on how Aubameyang is going to play.
Two things there. I don't think there's any shame in losing to Brentford. I think they're going to turn over a few teams this year. And the second,
they look really good, man. They look really good. I actually did like how they played against Chelsea.
Absolutely. If it wasn't for Edouard Mendy, my God.
Yeah. They just happen to be going up against one of the best African goalkeepers.
Yeah, I'd just say one of the best goalkeepers in the world at this point. And the second point I wanted to make, it is a bit of a nicer time to have you on because Arsenal are in a lot better spot than when we had you on for the transfer window special. So that must be nice to not be shying away from talking about your team this time around, mate.
More positivity. I think not. I mean, I talked about Arsenal. It wasn't in a good. Clearly the tone wasn't there. But I mean, no, this time around, I mean, I still have my hesitancy. Obviously, coming off having them beat Tottenham. If Arsenal does anything right, it's you beat Tottenham, and that's what they did. So I mean, they got the one thing that I wanted done, and that was beat Tottenham. Hopefully, they can do that again in the second half of the season. But if you're gonna do anything, at least beat Tottenham.
Absolutely, that did seem to be a little bit of a turning point for both teams because Tottenham were traveling all right at that point, and then you all knocked them off. 3-1, right? At the Emirates, and things kind of haven't gone too well. They're just starting to stabilize now, Spurs, but and then you guys kind of had a bit of an uptick in form.
Exactly, man. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, now now we're kind of seeing the real Arsenal. I guess you can say. Are they perfect? No, but I feel maybe this would have been the better time to face a Chelsea or a Manchester City, not necessarily early in the season when you're still kind of trying to figure out what Arsenal is going to be. So I think we're starting to see how Arsenal really is going to be. They're going to be who they're supposed to beat, maybe contest with some of the top teams, maybe cause an upset, but they're going to be where they are. And I feel like they're going to, once again, I think I'm looking at another season where they're going to be outside of the 4 and 5, the 4, 5, and 6 group.
Okay, interesting. Well, let's not step too much on the winners and losers section. I know I said we talk about both our teams, but what's there to say about Liverpool except undefeated across all competitions? So things are looking pretty good for me.
Man, how y'all gonna do that on Ranieri's return? Come on, man. Come on.
You know,
Jurgen Klopp is one little cheeky little bastard. I'll give him that one. You're gonna go ahead and give him all the props and welcome back to the Premier. Yeah, you definitely gave him a welcome back to the Premier League.
I'll tell you what,
5-0 shellacking.
I was telling all my buddies, I said, you know, no Alisson, no Fabinho, new manager bounce for Watford. We had that young fella Kelleher in goals. I had a look at the odds, and Watford were paying $8.50, and I was just like, oh, you know, $20 on that would be pretty tasty. But geez, I'm glad I didn't, because it was incredible performance from the Reds. But you got to keep the opposition in mind. Watford aren't going to be challenging too many of the big teams this season. So I don't know if this is entirely accurate, but that is their 6th manager in less than 50 Premier League games.
Is that excluding the championship?
Yeah, excluding the championship. So last year they were in the championship. I don't know who their manager was during that time, but last time in the Premier League they went through 4 managers, and then 9 games in they're already on their 2nd manager this time around. So less than 50 Premier League games, they've had 6 managers. That's less than 8 games, and I don't think the next few games for Watford coming up are not entirely friendly, shall we say, for Mr. Ranieri. So I think they might be on their 3rd manager before too long.
I mean, I think the main issue is just the fact that, you know, Watford doesn't essentially have the club to compete with the Premier League. And you can even see that with like the differences within the teams that did get promoted this season, which, you know, obviously Brentford making a good argument for themselves to at least stay one more year in the Premier League. I mean, it's still early this season, you know, who knows what's going to happen, you know, down the road. But I mean, even a team that, you know, we all were kind of excited to see what was going to be the next move for them, Leeds United, they're not looking too hot either.
Yeah, they are. So they're definitely suffering a bit of a sophomore slump for sure. It is an interesting point you make about Watford just not being quite good enough for the Premier League, but, you know, I think they got the automatic promotion along with Norwich. I think Norwich and Watford are in this kind of purgatory where they're too good, way too good for the Championship, but not good enough for the Premier League.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be clubs like that. I mean, you know, obviously you kind of see teams, you see what teams do once they get promoted. You know, they try to, it's you know, even though you have the quality to get promoted to the Premier League, you got to bring in these X factor players that can play in the Premier League, or at least are Premier League ready, to give you that extra edge, just to stay a little bit. I'm not saying like, you know, you're gonna automatically win the Premier League. You know, that's not gonna happen. This ain't FIFA, but but you know, at least stay in and then steadily improve as you go on with the season. Or you could just say fuck it, like Newcastle did, and just get yourself an ownership group from Saudi Arabia and just let the dice roll accordingly.
That's interesting that you bring up the new owners at Newcastle, Hector. What do you think about that one, mate? Instantly becoming the richest club in the world. Owners 10 times richer than Manchester City's owners. Yeah,
man. You know, obviously that's it's kind of weird. It's like, one, it shows you the hypocrisy of what is football now these days. Obviously, you know, you had initially some people kind of hesitant about bringing this group in, obviously, because if you know how some businesses are done inside, at least in that area, there's some human rights issues that go on with that. But we also know how this game is now. It is about developing players and getting them to, you know, that those developed players could be something special and help, be the stars for the future. But you can't depend on that anymore. You have to bring in guys that can come in and win games for your club. It's an arms race now, and not just in the Premier League, but just in general in the world. You know, obviously Real Madrid are one of those teams that does that. You're seeing PSG PSG kind of a similar club that kind of were just a mid table team in Ligue 1, and they get their group coming in to invest in them, and look where they are now. Granted, it's a little bit easier when you're in Ligue 1 because, well, it's Ligue 1. No,
yeah,
yeah. So it's a little bit easier that way. But obviously, you're seeing it now more with the Premier League. Obviously, you saw what happened in Manchester City. One, it didn't happen overnight. It took Manchester City a few moves before they finally got their core players and obviously got the right manager to become what they are now. And you've seen also clubs that maybe that they try to do that. They think that all they need is just a giant investment group. And if it didn't work out as well, I mean, there's a running joke at Insert MAC where we constantly say, hey, Monaco, you remember them? So
absolutely. No, it's a great point. It does take time. It does. A lot of people are up in arms saying, "Oh, Newcastle, they're going to be, challenging for the top 4 spots in 2 seasons." I don't see it happening that way.
Right now, they got to worry about getting out of relegation. So.
Absolutely, they got to make sure they're in the Premier League next year.
I mean, obviously, they fired their manager. I think they're linked to get Frank Lampard. I don't know if that's necessarily an upgrade. I mean, I guess for Newcastle it is, but maybe this. Well, with Frank Lampard, I feel like he needed to go into a situation maybe with a mid-table club or maybe go to the championship, kind of similar like, I guess like Wayne Rooney in a way. I don't think he's in the championship though. I could be wrong. I don't really keep up with Kirby.
I think he is. I think they've gone into administration now. They're sitting towards the bottom of the championship table because they've had a points deduction. But it is an excellent point that you make. This Newcastle, if Frank Lampard's end goal was to get the Chelsea job, this Newcastle job would have been a perfect little, I don't know the word I'm looking for.
Stepping stone.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. It would have been a perfect stepping stone.
But I don't know if it is now. I really don't think it is now. Obviously, you have this new ownership group, this new investment group that's coming in. Obviously, they're going to want to do an overhaul of. I mean, there's some players in Newcastle. I'm not saying that Newcastle's not talented. They have some quality in that team, but obviously they need to go got to get some more players. But at the same time, do you think Frank Lampard can handle that pressure? I mean, we saw him handle the pressure for Chelsea. And, that didn't turn out too well for him. And it probably hurts him a little bit more knowing that you saw Thomas Tuchel take over and then make this team an instant competitor for the Champions League. So it's to me, like, I don't know if Frank Lampard really is the guy. I don't know who would be the guy. I don't know. I don't even think Conte would have been the guy for this situation because I don't know if can Newcastle right now somehow get out of the relegation zone by the time the January transfer window comes in, so they can go and get make some sort of, maybe not get like a big splash move, like, oh my God, I can't believe they got them, but somebody kind of similar to what Manchester City did, because in January they went and got Robinho from Real Madrid. That was kind of like their first, oh hey, look who we just got. Some people are like, oh wow, it's Robinho, and then there's others, oh wow, that's Robinho. So I mean, like, there's it's not necessarily like the greatest move, but it was a move that was still pretty big, high profile for them. Maybe Newcastle in January go after like an Ousmane Dembele, something.
That's the rumor at the moment. I mean, they've been linked with everybody ever since these new owners took over 10 days ago or whatever it was. But Ousmane Dembele is the latest. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're being linked with Haaland and Mbappe just because of all the jokes that we've been hearing. I already saw. I don't know how many more memes I'm gonna see of just random players getting signed to Newcastle.
One of the more outlandish rumors I heard last week, I even mentioned it on last week's episode, was that Newcastle were going to match Daniel Levy's evaluation of Harry Kane and try and pick up Harry Kane in the transfer window.
That would definitely get people's attention. I would definitely say that. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if that's the move Harry Kane's going for. If he wants to hang around and not win trophies, he could just do that at Tottenham. So.
Oh well, I mean, if that's the end goal.
Okay,
or just lose to Arsenal every year.
Okay, so first of all, how long has Ole Gunnar Solskjaer got left in the Manchester United dugout?
Hopefully as long as possible, man. We, Insert Name FC, we did drop on our clothing store at bonfire.com. We did just drop our in Old Gunner We Trust t-shirts. So we definitely want to keep that going for a bit.
Absolutely. And as long as Solskjaer is in the dugout, Manchester United will remain mediocre. So long may his reign continue.
It's very weird how they committed to this man when there's no silverware. There's nothing, only something they can hold and use as a valid argument. Because I mean, even Jose Mourinho won the Europa League. I do believe Van Gaal won something as well. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Cup. Van Gaal won an FA Cup, got sacked the next day.
Yeah. I don't know what did David Moyes win anything?
Nah, just the hearts of everyone who hated Manchester United.
Well, okay. Well, and Old Gunner, he won a T-shirt. So I mean, there's that. So, you mean I think obviously they were able to use the argument of, oh well, look, we were one step away from winning the Premier League. Did you really? Not really, but you can hang on the fact that you were second place. But
there's a little bit of a difference between the second place that Manchester United managed last season, and you look at some of the runners up from seasons past in the last 5 or 6 years, and it wasn't really like it was all wrapped up already, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like if you had like a front image of two bicyclists, and it looks like it's really neck and neck, but then when you put like the sky view of it, it's like a full like a full traffic lane of distance. So I mean, like, was it really that, like, were you guys really that close? It really wasn't. But yeah. I mean, Manchester United had a really good season last year. Aside from, you just weren't going to win the Premier League because Manchester City were just better. But I mean, like, you can hold off to that argument, like, oh, they're building something, and then obviously they bring in Cristiano Ronaldo, and Jadon Sancho. People forget that Jadon Sancho is on the team. Yeah. And Rafael Varane, another guy that people forget that's on the team. But obviously, Cristiano, you bring back your GOAT. You're hoping that he can, live up to it. And I mean, I feel like I really haven't heard much from, maybe just because I'm not a Manchester United fan, but I really haven't heard much else since Ronaldo's return. And I felt like it's been quiet for a while.
He did score the
well, I mean, yeah, they had a big win against Atalanta today, but
yeah.
Aside from that, I haven't really heard much from Manchester United, and I've heard it's probably, I don't know, maybe it's just because I don't follow the club like that deeply, but usually I see things that are trending on social media, so I mean, I figured that would pop up every once in a while, but I really haven't till like I just started seeing people write some stuff about possibility of trying to let go of Old Gunner, because Man U's got some games coming up. And it's a rough stretch of games for them.
They got Liverpool, Tottenham, City, and I think there's another big one after that too, isn't there?
Of course, Arsenal.
Yeah. It's an Arsenal. So just to put a capstone on the Ole Gunner stuff, you made some excellent points about not having anything tangible to hold on to, like a trophy or any real significant progress. Now, Manchester United fans that are listening, I'm a Liverpool fan. I despise your club, right? But I feel like I've been very fair in saying that, the talent on the pitch is world class. The problem is Ole, and this speaks to that. Not only don't they have something tangible like a trophy or any kind of accessible progress to hold on to as far as backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I mean, you watch a Manchester United game last week, and then you watch it the week after, they have no identity. They don't have a style they're going for. It's the Cristiano Ronaldo thing. Now, I'll put my hand up, this could be sour grapes from me, okay? But it seemed like a bit of a desperate ploy. I mean, you just signed Sancho, who essentially plays similar position. I know Ronaldo's probably played as a striker since he's come over. Like, I don't know. It just seems like everything's going wrong. And how about this? Let's take tribalism out of it. Take it from a Liverpool fan who went 30 years without any kind of success. They're making all the wrong moves, Yeah, it's not good for United. I hope it doesn't happen because, like I said, I despise the club. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will not last past these 3 games. They might beat Liverpool. They might beat City. They won't beat them both, though. When they do lose either one of those games, that'll be the death knell for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. The last thing, anyway, Hector, the last thing I want to talk to you about as we just kind of touch on all things Premier League here. And it's interesting that I've chosen this one last. Mohamed Salah, best player in the world right now?
It's an opinion.
Well, come on, give me your opinion.
I mean, obviously, what Mohamed Salah has been able to do, not even just going back to, obviously with being with Liverpool, but kind of what he's going back to his Roma days. But yeah, he's just a phenomenal player, and you see his dazzle, the way he plays with the ball, definitely. And then I know, he didn't hit a milestone, but I know he provided an assist to give Sadio Mane a giant milestone for him. I believe it was his 100th goal for Liverpool, was it?
I think it was his 100th Premier League goal.
Okay,
I could be right. You might be right. Yeah, I'm not too sure on that. I did know it was a milestone, though. Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, Salah is one of those guys that you can't leave him on his own. You can't even give him much space. You got to suffocate him, and teams try, but also the man has magic on his feet, because the way he moves with the ball is definitely out of this world. And I mean, I definitely will say he's one of the best of the world. Don't know if I can say he's the best player in the world, but he's definitely one of the world's best.
Okay, who's the best player in the world right now? 20th of October, 21st of October, 2021.
I would have to say Robert Lewandowski.
Okay, I haven't been keeping track of the Bundesliga as close
I
as
mean,
the man's
just not fair. He's a cheat code. So I mean,
he's a cheat code.
I think one, he should have won the Ballon d'Or in 2020. I think he can definitely make a strong argument for 2021. I don't think he will. I think that's going to go to Jorginho. If it was up to me, because of the fact that Jorginho, one, had obviously the Champions League with Chelsea, and then also winning the Euros with Italy. So I'm thinking that he should definitely have the year for himself. I'm sure some people are going to make an argument for Messi, obviously, for the fact that he finally got to lift his international trophy. But I mean, you got to look at Jorginho. At least he's having just one hell of a season, one hell of a 2021.
I think you've hit the nail on the head with Jorginho. He is having an incredible season as far as trophies won, and that is the metric that the Ballon d'Or is awarded by. Trophies for your club and trophies for your country are usually what it takes to win the Ballon d'Or. So I think you're right. I don't know if I necessarily agree that because the Ballon d'Or's best player in the world for the 12-month period preceding it, right? I don't think he is that. And you'd have a hard time convincing me that he is. I don't know who is. I don't particularly think Mohamed Salah should win that trophy either, just to be clear.
I mean, if you were to ask me, I'm going Robert Lewandowski. I think the man deserves 2 Ballon d'Ors.
But we're getting off track here. The Ballon d'Or will probably go to Jorginho. I think we can agree on that. I don't know enough about Lewandowski's season or his 12 months, but I know that he scores a shit ton of goals, and he probably does deserve one just for the career he's had. It's probably been a little bit unfair for those kind of players that have been around in the Ronaldo, Messi era where they've just been sharing the trophy amongst themselves, right?
No, yeah, for sure. I mean, because I think one of the years that Messi won, you could have made a valid argument for Andres Iniesta and Xavi. And they still gave it to Messi, so.
Yeah, I think the only one to break up the monopoly was Luka Modric in 2018, right?
Yeah, and a lot of people still have issues with that one.
Okay, Hector, it was nice just shooting the Premier League shit with you. Let's move on to our first part. This is where we look back at the Premier League weekend that was, and we pick our winners and losers from game week 8 in the Premier League. Hector, why don't you go first, mate? Let us know who lost game week 8 of the Premier League.
I'm gonna have to go with Newcastle United, man.
Lay it on me, man. Let me know.
I mean, obviously for starters, you know, you just got your new ownership group. So that's like the big exciting factor going into that game. You know, you're finally gonna, you want to showcase what you can do. And then you end up going into this game against Tottenham. You know, this is like everything that you want in this game, right? Like you new ownership, you want to show them well, you want to go up very well against a team that's currently doing really well in the Premier League. So this is the time. Things looked like it would initially look. It was looking good for Newcastle. Obviously, they start off with a goal in the second minute mark from Callum Wilson, and then after that, it was just straight up the Tottenham show. As you had Ndombele scoring, Harry Kane scored, Heung-min Son scored, and even the second goal that Newcastle scored wasn't even by them. It was actually an own goal. So you go into this game, you get you shouldn't expect to get possession, especially when it's Tottenham. So obviously having 35% of the possession isn't going to be there, but it was just this is the game that you want to show everybody that Newcastle's changing, even though let's face it, it's still the same Newcastle team, just that has a different ownership group now. It's still the same manager and all those things, but there was a lot of excitement going into this game, and not so much about the game. I think we all knew what was going to happen, which was Tottenham winning, but the fact was, the energy needed to change. And if anything, we just have more questions about Newcastle than answers.
Absolutely. And what was John Joe Shelby doing with that red card? My God, this guy, he can be a world beater on his day, but he can also be a Sunday league scrubber, just kicking people's shins when he wants to as well. And unfortunately for Newcastle fans, that's the John Joe Shelby that run out onto the pitch at the weekend. But great pick, Hector. Newcastle United definitely big losers from the weekend just gone. For me personally, I've gone for Everton as the biggest losers. Superb, perfect. Goodison Park form heading into this one. This is the match I ordained the best of the rest trophy, because I think outside of the top four, Everton and West Ham are probably the next two best teams, and it will probably remain that way this season. They had plenty of chances. They were in the game. It was a bit of a, I don't want to say it was an exciting game, but it wasn't boring. It was just, it captured my attention for the most part. And unfortunately, Rafa Benitez couldn't get the job done for the Blues, and David Moyes' return to Goodison Park and taking what I think will end up being a crucial 3 points come season's end against the team that is probably going to be a direct rival for table position in Everton. So Everton are my losers this week.
That's some pretty good points right there. Nothing really much else you can say about Everton, man. They became a disappointment, obviously. Well, I mean, granted, they lost Ancelotti, their manager. I don't know what the hell happened with James Rodriguez, but there was a fall off there as well.
Isn't he playing in Qatar or something now?
Yeah, he's playing in Qatar now.
I had no idea. I thought he was injured or something. But yeah.
Now he just plays in Qatar. But yeah, no, it just hasn't. It just Everton kind of fell off, and I mean, should you expect to fall off, especially once you're going in with a different manager? Sure, but I mean, I feel like Ancelotti left Everton in a situation where you can't fuck this up. Like, I mean, the expectations for Everton is a mid-table team. I mean, that's just how they are going to be right now until some things changing. I'm not saying like a new ownership group comes in, but just in general, they were in a good place where you're going to be competitive. Maybe if you add one or two more players, who knows, maybe you can at least jump in and for that, UEFA Conference League spot that now seems to be alluring, with full sarcasm as I say that. But Everton could be a team that gets excited about the Conference League. I'm just gonna say that. But like I said, it's like one of those things where you really shouldn't fuck this up, and I feel like that's what we're getting right now. Definitely not having James Rodriguez not happy and willing to dip out and go to Qatar for an easy payday is definitely a clear sign that there's some issues at Everton.
let's move on to the winners of this section. Hector, who have you got for your winner?
I mean, you gotta say, man, Leicester City, man. I think they had for them a big win. I mean, obviously we said those things about Ole Gunnar. And yeah, this is definitely one of those games that doesn't help his argument. Leicester City came in and they played with it. I think they came in playing with a chip on their shoulders. They knew that a lot of people are probably counting them out because Manchester United has the roster. Obviously, you had some questionable decisions from Ole Gunnar. Obviously, Harry Maguire getting the start was kind of a head scratcher for everybody because we don't know where he's at. We're not sure that he's 100%, but they put him out there anyways. So that was like not a good start for them, but like I said, they came in ready. When you take on teams like the big power clubs, I guess you could say, of the Premier League, you're gonna go out there and you gotta make some haymakers on them and keep them down, and that's exactly what Leicester did. Mason Greenwood scored a goal in the first goal in the 19-minute mark, but then it just became Leicester going for it, and they didn't let up. Because obviously you had Yuri Tillman scoring a goal. Even Son Yoku scoring a goal as well. Obviously, you got no Leicester game is complete without a Jamie Vardy goal. Yep, and then absolutely. Daka just puts it in to just put more salt on the wound for Manchester United. As once again, you got so many questions about Ole Gunnar. It's mainly just because of the form, who he chose to put out there on the field. But I mean, at the end of the day, you got to play who you got to play, and Leicester, they played.
That's some excellent points about Leicester there, Hector. That was an incredible game. I watched it start to finish. I don't want to step on goal of the week too much, but geez, there was some screamers in there. You touched on Mason Greenwood's one, and there was a couple of other good ones. So it was good to see Rashford come back for Manchester United as well. But it was a massive win for Leicester. Definitely put the cat amongst the pigeons, and they haven't had the greatest start to the season. So it was definitely a win that was much needed for the side as well. So my winner for this week is Chelsea. They had a West London derby against Brentford. I think this derby's only happened a handful of times in top flight football in England. And you got to say, Brentford came to play, and I wasn't sure if I gave my winner of the if I should have given my winner of the week to the team of Chelsea or the player Edouard Mendy. Geez, Brentford were unlucky. Chelsea had one shot on target. It just so happened to be Ben Chilwell's absolute cracker of a goal. That's a sign of a champion side when you can perhaps not be at your best and still manage to get the 3 points. And it doesn't hurt when you've got a world-class goalkeeper between the posts.
No, yeah, exactly. I think the best quote, I mean, for the American, for anybody that doesn't understand American quotes, but from the owner of the Oakland Raiders, Al Davis, his phrase was always "just win, baby," and I think that's exactly what Chelsea did. It doesn't matter if it's close, if it's a blowout, you got to win in different ways, and Chelsea's been very versatile with doing that. Obviously, because of how well this team plays structurally. Obviously, that attack can do something. But the defense that Chelsea has is definitely something to highlight. And of course, it helps when you have such a talented goalkeeper like Mendy between the sticks. So like it as a defender, at least for the defender's mentality, your job is easier knowing that you have a goalkeeper that can get it done. Obviously as a defender, you want to minimize the mistakes and you want to make sure you make smart and conscious decisions when you're defending. But when you slip up and you have a good goalkeeper behind you, it makes your job a lot easier. And I think that's what makes Chelsea so good. Since Tuchel took over, I feel like Chelsea has just been a well-run machine.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everything you said about Edouard Mendy is spot on there, and the defense too. It has been quite incredible to see the transformation of Rudiger going from kind of being on the transfer list under Lampard to being just an absolute world beater. Under
and now you got Bayern Munich wanting to spend the big money for him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been an incredible transformation, and he's a brilliant player, and he was a focal point of my defense in Ultimate Team last year. We'll just leave it at that. I think that says more about how well I was going in Ultimate Team as opposed to how good he is. But yeah, there you go. So that's our winners and losers for game week 8. Hector's gone for Leicester City. I've gone for Chelsea as the big winners. And the big losers, Hector's gone for Newcastle United, and I have gone for Everton. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. It is time for the After Extra Time Weekly Awards. This is the favourite section of all the Premier League players, staff that listen to this podcast. They're into it. They were upset. There was no weekly awards last week. I was getting emails, tweets, text messages. I got contacts, people, and the Premier League family was not happy. So this is for all those guys that were desperate to find out who's going to win goal of the weekend this weekend. Now, Hector, we had a little bit of a chit-chat about this already before we started recording. I've got an obvious one. I think people are going to know who I'm going to pick. Just a lazy Mo Salah goal where he just beats half a team and then bangs it into the top corner of the goal. Who have you gone for, though, mate?
Man, as soon as I saw this goal, I knew that this is the goal I'm going to go with, and that is the goal of Youri Tielemans in Leicester's win against Manchester United. One, he didn't stop the ball. The ball came in kind of like in a more of a center, but I'll say it off the volley, but literally just lands on his foot and he just directs it right into the goal. It was a beautiful, cheeky ball that just went right in. There was nothing the goalkeeper could stop. It was a thing of beauty, straight up, just pure class on that one. So the fact that he just didn't stop the ball, he kept the ball going, just shows how much of a class that Youri Tielemans is.
It was interesting. It was like a volley, but then it was a lob as well, and then it was outside the box. So his foot kind of went across his body and had a little bit of backspin on it. It was an absolutely tremendous goal, and I don't want to take anything away from Tielemans' goal here, but I do think that Salah's going to win plenty of goals of the weekend going forward on the After Extra Time podcast. So I am happy to give this to the young Belgian, because watching that, I was like, oh man, we are in, especially following the Greenwood goal not long before it. I thought, geez, we are in for some good goals this weekend in the Premier League. But
I mean, if you want to know my reaction to it, if any of you guys watch like NBA during the All-Star, during the All-Star NBA All-Star week, you obviously have the slam dunk competition. I was essentially the guys on court side just going crazy, throwing their popcorn, watching, because that's exactly what I did exactly when I saw that Tielemans goal, because it was just, it's a thing of beauty. It's not something you're gonna see every day. That's not one of the things you can do again. And if he does it, that just means Youri Tielemans is not from this world, because that was an out of the world type of goal.
Absolutely, it was incredible. So there you go. Congratulations, Youri. You can let Jamie Vardy know all about it. He might have Premier League winners medal, but you've got a After Extra Time Goal of the Weekend award. Congratulations. Moving right along, Player of the Weekend. What have you got for me, Hector? Who's your nominee?
Look, man, I just gotta say it. I gotta go to that Liverpool Watford game, even though that game was a shellacking and clearly one-sided, heavily one-sided. But and this goes to insert name FC. I tend to have a bias, but when you score a hat trick, it doesn't matter how you score the hat trick. It's a hat trick. As long as it's not 3 penalties, a hat trick is a hat trick. And the fact that this man gets overshadowed by his 2 very unfairly playing teammates that he has on the wings, but Roberto Firmino scoring that hat trick, I mean, right place, right time, knew where he needed to be. And that also takes class of its own. But yeah, gets the hat trick, gets to walk away with the game ball, unlike Mo Salah and Sadio Mane.
It was incredible, actually. I was watching the Liverpool Watford game, which may or may not shock you. I was watching it with my housemate live, And Firmino was, he had a few wayward touches, and he just seemed a little bit off the pace. And I actually turned to my housemate and said, I think he might be finished. He just looked like he just lost his touch, and he's at that age where sometimes when you lose your touch, you don't get it back. But he shut me up in the best way possible by just being on hand to knock in just a lazy 3 goals against Watford. But I'm going to have to draw a line in the sand here, mate. Mo Salah, that assist alone was good enough for player of the weekend. And then when you couple it with that goal, I mean, my goodness, he's playing out of his skin at the moment. If he's not the best in the world at the moment, on form at least, I'm not sure who is. So I'm going to have to go Mo Salah. Congratulations, mate. Player of the weekend. I'm sure it won't be the only trophy that you win this year, be it personal or club. But just chuck it on the mantelpiece. I know it takes pride of place for you, Mo. So congratulations, player of the weekend. Next up, Hector, we got match of the weekend. I've gone the Leicester-Manchester United game, that 6-goal bonanza. It was incredible. Why don't you make the? We've spoken enough about the Leicester-Manchester United game. I think people know why it's being nominated. Why don't you make the case for your match of the weekend?
My match of the weekend is Aston Villa versus Wolverhampton. I think that this game was very entertaining, especially in the final minutes, as Wolves were down, 2-0, and they come back to win it 3-2. Just the fact that they also scored in stoppage time, it had the drama. To me, that's what you want in these games. Aston Villa has looked really good so far this season. I'm actually kind of liking what I'm seeing from Aston Villa, even though they seem for some reason want to torment Arsenal, but by taking our players. But overall, just the resilience that we saw from Wolverhampton, because I mean, scoring 3 goals in 15 minutes, that's just very impressive. Nonetheless, the fact that they stayed in it, even though you're going into the final minutes of the match, you kept fighting to get back into this game. And not only did you get back into this game, but you go ahead and win it. And of course, you had to get the winner by Ruben Neves. So I mean, this game was very dramatic, had the perfect finish, and you get a comeback. So what else do you want from a game?
Yeah, that's an impassioned play, and one that has not fallen on deaf ears. I feel like I must have forgotten that this was a comeback, but I'm remembering now because I was watching the Leicester-Manchester United game. Goal rush was on, and at the end of that game, it's like, oh, things are happening at I think, was it at Villa Park or was it at the Molineux? I can't remember. But anyway, it's kind of a derby. It's a West Midlands derby or something like that. And for Aston Villa to be up 2-0 in the 80th minute, only to be done 3-2 when the whistle blows after injury time. I'm more than happy to give this game of the weekend award, match of the weekend award. After extra time, match of the weekend award goes to the clash between Aston Villa and Wolverhampton. Congratulations to both sides. I'm sure you'll probably want to keep the after extra time trophy at Wolverhampton's home ground, because I doubt Aston Villa want to be reminded of it. But there you go. Match of the weekend, Wolverhampton versus Aston Villa. It's game week 9 and the Premier League table is starting to take shape, and there is a couple of huge fixtures for us to look forwards to. But let's start at the beginning though. Friday night football, your mob, Arsenal host Aston Villa. How do you see this one going, Hector?
Well, for starters, I hate Aston Villa right now. They have just been nothing but a pest. They've been trying to get Smith Rowe from Arsenal, which I hate that. They got my guy Emi Martinez, which it's also like I can't hate this team too much because they got my boy Emi. And then salt to the wound. This was the team that I said won the transfer window last time I was here. So this team for some reason just keeps toying with me, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Arsenal coming off of a 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace. It almost looked like it was going to be a 2-1 loss. like I said with Arsenal, I think it all depends on what we're gonna get from Aubameyang. Aubameyang is gonna be the deciding factor for Arsenal for a while. I do want to see some brilliance from Saka and Smith Rowe. That's literally my only thing left to watch Arsenal for is because of Smith Rowe and Saka, because I love how those guys play. I mean, there's a lot of bright points with Arsenal, but Smith Rowe and Saka has definitely kept me along. But I don't know if they're going to be able to get at least enough for a win. I can see this be a draw. I might just say a very boring 1-1 draw.
Okay, but I know these ones can be difficult because I struggle with this a little bit also with Liverpool, but I'm just going to put it out there, mate. I know you probably don't want to jinx them, but I think Arsenal will get this one done quite comfortably. I think maybe a 2-0 victory and send the home fans happy. Friday night football in the Premier League. It's something they're obviously trying to get off the ground the last couple of seasons. Absolutely. Okay, the next game up, the early kickoff on the Saturday afternoon, UK time. We have probably one of the most lopsided fixtures to come so far this season. We have tabletoppers Chelsea facing off against Norwich City, a Norwich City side that is yet to win and is on one of the most incredible losing streaks in Premier League history. Do you see a miracle happening here, Hector?
Unfortunately, no. Even maybe depending on who's out on the field. Obviously, Chelsea had a Champions League, and they're gonna have Champions League next week as well. So I mean, it's gonna be can they find I guess a chink in their armor? I don't think so. I think Chelsea is just way too good organized. And honestly, this could be a game where Kepa starts, and I feel pretty confident in Chelsea. So I think I gotta go with Chelsea in this game. As far as the scoreline, I don't know, 3-0.
Yeah, I'll back that up. The scoreline's just for fun, mate. I think Chelsea by a cricket score, 3 or 4-0, maybe 5-0. Honestly, 8-0 wouldn't surprise me. Norwich are horrible. And like we touched on at the top of the pod, they're just one of those sides that far too good for the championship, but just don't cut the mustard in the Premier League. So a big win for Chelsea to maintain their position at top of the Premier League table. Next up, we have our 3 p.m. kickoffs. And honestly, there's nothing too exciting happening in the 3 p.m. kickoffs here. So first up, we've got Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira at Selhurst Park hosting Newcastle United.
I mean, this game's going to be an interesting one. I don't know who's going to be managing Newcastle, so that's going to be a factor. I like Crystal Palace in this game. I think I like the quality they have in their players. I mean, Newcastle has some quality, but the fact that you don't know who's going to be in charge of Newcastle is going to be a big factor for me. And I mean, Patrick Vieira is a very smart manager, and I think can still edge out no matter who's going to be the guy in charge of Newcastle.
Yeah, I've done a full 180 on Crystal Palace from the start of the season. I am all about Vieira's vision at Selhurst Park. I think he's been just quietly a little bit of a revelation. But just the fact that Crystal Palace aren't rock bottom, just getting tonked by every team they play up against, I'm impressed. But all jokes aside, the youth policy that they've got, Odson Eddard is an incredible striker, and I think I stand by. I think he'll be a 20-plus goal striker this year. I'm going for a win for the South Londoners here, and just consecutive losses for the new regime and Newcastle United. Next up, we've got the Blues, Everton at Goodison Park, back-to-back home games for the Blues as they host Watford. Claudio Ranieri looking for his first Watford victory at the second try.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard. I don't know how to feel about this game. I think this is a game that if Everton wants to find some sort of light of hope, this is the game to do it. They need to take advantage of Watford. Watford's kind of down in the dumps, especially getting shellacked by Liverpool like they did. Yeah, I feel like I would have to go with Everton on this one. I think that for me, I think this is a win that Everton needs right now.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you, mate. Big Everton, well, not a big Everton win, but Everton need the 3 points here. It'd be almost panic stations if they don't manage to secure 3 points against Watford at home. So I agree with you completely. As far as my sentiments about Watford, listen to my sentiments about Norwich and just switch out their name for Watford. It's almost exactly the same. Next up after that, we have Leeds United hosting Wolverhampton Wanderers at Elland Road. This should be an interesting game. Wolves will be, they'll have their tails up a bit after that incredible comeback that you referenced earlier, Hector, that we awarded match of the weekend. And Leeds definitely suffering somewhat of a sophomore slump in the Premier League. Do you think Leeds can get a victory to kind of put their season back on track here?
Yeah, Leeds United has been a big disappointment for me. I liked what I was seeing from them from last season. Thought they were going to keep that up. I think that they do have the quality on their team. They just need a spark. I want to say that it's going to be this game, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I think Wolves get another 3 points this one.
Absolutely. Leeds have been incredibly disappointing this year. I really don't want them to get relegated because they're one of those traditional big teams. I want them to stay in the Premier League, but I don't think it's too harsh to say that they are showing relegation form at the moment. I kind of once again I echo your sentiments. I think Wolverhampton will probably win. It is interesting. They've just got a few avenues to goal that have popped up all of a sudden. So yeah, I think that's going to hold them in good stead and might just get them the 3 points at Elland Road. Next up, we have Southampton taking on Burnley in the Who Cares match at St Mary's Stadium. What do you think? Other than saying who cares, I don't have anything else to say about this match. Hector?
I mean, Burnley is gonna be in a situation where something can really change, because I mean, right now they're in that relegation zone. It's still early to be looking at the relegation zone, but it's still something to look at. In their last 5 games, they've only collected 2 points. So that's a big yikes on their part. But
great stat.
Which is what you're gonna see. Yeah. Southampton, I mean, we know what they're gonna be. We know what they are. They're the farm team of the Premier League, but yeah, they're also kind of flirting with that relegation zone as well. I think this could be a big win for Burnley if they can get it done against Southampton, because honestly, they're not that far apart from each other. And I think a win could really jump them over. I'm actually gonna give this to Burnley. I think Burnley can come in. This is gonna be a win that they desperately need. Well, both of them desperately need a win, but I mean, obviously Burnley does not want to be in that relegation zone going into the halfway point of the season. I feel like they can find a way to get 3 points and at least be relieved for a little bit that they're not in that relegation zone, at least for this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Burnley stealing a few away points here from Southampton. I'm going to go a ball draw. There is nothing enticing about this game. You watch, my track record. Listeners will know that when I say that match tends to be the most exciting of the whole week. So maybe I'm using a bit of reverse psychology here, so they'll give us something entertaining. But I'm going to go a 0-0 ball draw in that one, and that's not going to be much help to either side. The final kickoff on the Saturday. Now, I'm surprised because we've spoken a lot just about Premier League in general on this podcast sector, and one thing we haven't spoken about is the fact that Brighton and Hove Albion are in 4th spot on the Premier League table, and in a true test of their credentials, they welcome Manchester City to the Amex Stadium in the late kickoff on Saturday.
I think the reason why we're not talking about this because one, it's still early in the season. We've seen in the Premier League those teams that were like, oh wow, they're in the top 4, but once again, it's early in the season. We don't know who. It's not really a fair way to really evaluate anybody just yet. halfway point is probably like a better way to indicate who's going to be it. Brighton could be that team that just got really hot really early, and then obviously kind of sizzle out after the halfway point, and find themselves in the mid table, which we've seen that time and time again in the Premier League. But yeah, it's going to be a big test. I mean, right now I'm not a fair believer in Brighton, but this could be the game that proves me wrong. And beating a Manchester City, as stacked as they are, would probably be a big statement for them. But I don't see it happening. I think Manchester City reminds everybody why Brighton is normally a mid-table team.
Yep, that's cool. I just was having a look at Brighton's last 3 fixtures. They had a 0-0 draw with Norwich, a 0-0 draw with Arsenal, and then a 1-1 draw with Crystal Palace. So their recent form doesn't really inspire any confidence. Manchester City, I mean, Paul and I spoke about this on previous podcasts. It just seems like at the moment they're either sneaking over the line 1-0 or they're scoring just stupid amount of goals. They scored a stupid amount of goals in the Champions League against Club Brugge. So I think this is going to be one where they just sneak in a goal. 1-0 victory for Manchester City away. And like you referred to, Hector, just a bit of a reality check for Brighton and Hove Albion, the high flyers in the early days of the 21-22 Premier League season. Moving on to the Sunday kickoffs. Now, this is where it gets a little bit tasty. Even this first game, which probably won't have any real bearing on any finishing positions of significance, I'm still excited for, because it's the Bees, Brentford, taking on Leicester City at the Brentford Community Stadium. Leicester will be riding high after their massive victory over Manchester United last week. Brentford, they were very unlucky against Chelsea, and I'm sure that they'll be up and about too. They'll be backing themselves to get something out of this game. Do you think they're a genuine chance to get something from this one, or do you think they might also get a reality check?
I think Brentford's a little bit different. I think they've been playing surprisingly really well. I mean, they went toe to toe with Chelsea. They went toe to toe with the best team in the Premier League right now. And I mean, say if they were to have, obviously we don't live in a world of what ifs, because what's done is done. But had they would have ended in a draw, that would have been 4 straight games of positive results. Being a point or 3. So for me, I think the fact that I think they got there was all even though yes, it's a loss against Chelsea, but also spin zone, it's a loss against Chelsea. You went toe to toe with the Champions League, last year's Champions League winner, and a team that looks very strong to win the Premier League this season. So I think that there's a lot of confidence with Brentford. But on the other side, Leicester just came off of a massive win against a team that some people expected to be in that top 4, aside from just Ole Gunnar just getting in their way. And, so there's some confidence with them as well. I think I don't know if Brentford's really at Leicester's level. I think Leicester is a better team, and even though they started off a little bit rough, I think they're gonna show why they're gonna be a team to reckon with this season. I think Leicester gets back in form, and coming off of a big win against Manchester United, they have all the confidence in the world right now. And even though Brentford's gonna be competitive, I don't think that they're gonna be able to jump over Leicester.
Okay, interesting. So you're going for an away victory there, Hector?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Honestly, I'm not basing this on talent on the park. I guess current form a little bit. I guess home ground advantage. I guess I just got a feeling, and when I get a feeling, I like to call my upset of the week. And this here is going to be my upset of the week. I think Brentford are going to get a 2-1 victory over Leicester City here with a goal in the 93rd minute. Let's call it a controversial VAR goal in the 93rd minute. We'll see the Bees get 3 points over the Foxes, and just be a huge boon for the West Londoners. They've almost become my second team at this point, Brentford. I love watching him. I love Thomas Frank. I think he's a fantastic manager. He's great. He's got good personality in his pre and post match interviews. So fingers crossed that's what happened. But the way things have worked out is, we like to focus a little deeper on a couple of games, and it's worked out really well because it's the last two games of the weekend this time around. First of all, we have West Ham and Tottenham at the Olympic Stadium in a London derby that probably has a little bit more significance than perhaps a West Ham Tottenham game would have had 10 years ago. So why don't you give us your thoughts on this one, Hector?
Obviously Tottenham has found some form now after going through quite the finally catching some L's, 3 straight losses, which I mean you could thank Arsenal for that one. But coming back with 2 wins, obviously they're kind of finding themselves some form. West Ham has kind of had this positive result loss trend going on for them right now. West Ham, I like what I'm seeing from West Ham. I think that I don't know if they're not gonna compete for the Champions League. I don't even think they'll be in the Europa League spot. They could possibly be that team that flirts around in that area for the Conference League as well. And I think it's gonna be all just depending on what we see from Tottenham. And right now the guys that they need to step up have been stepping up, obviously being Heung-min Son and Harry Kane. And I expect nothing more from Tottenham, and I think that this is going to be a win for Tottenham.
Yeah, I will say it is interesting. Harry Kane actually looked like Harry Kane against Newcastle. He didn't look like a player who was just having a strop because he didn't get the move that he wanted. So that's going to be worrying signs for West Ham. Mikel Antonio has been in incredible form for the Hammers also. I think if you look line for line, Tottenham definitely have the more talented squad. But London derbies, man, they can throw up some funny results. You'd know as an Arsenal fan. I'm going to go West Ham in this one, but as is tradition around here, I always have a couple of just little hot facts for these games that we like to have a little bit of extra focus in. This is an interesting one. West Ham have lost their last 2 home league games, both by a 2-1 scoreline, and both thanks to winners in the 90th minute. Manchester United, of course, and Brentford as well. Just to add on to that, they've not lost 3 consecutively at home in the Premier League since a run of 4 under Manuel Pellegrini in December 2019, which was his final 4 games at the club. And on the other side of the coin, none of Tottenham's last 14 Premier League games have ended level, with 9 wins and 5 losses. This is their longest run without a draw in the competition since a run of 32 between April 2018 and February 2019. So you're going with Tottenham for this one, Hector?
Yeah, as much as it sickens me.
I'm going for West Ham. As far as you said, you don't think that they'll be there for the Europa League places. I think they absolutely will be. I think West Ham are the 5th best team in the Premier League this year. That's how I feel about things. So, I'm going to go West Ham 2-1. Now, this last game, this is the game that's I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm pumped, but I don't want to watch it, but I want to watch it more than anything. And it's the same every time it comes around, regardless of ladder position. It's Manchester United taking on Liverpool at Old Trafford. Hector, take it away, my friend.
Yeah, this is a historical heavyweight bout. Obviously, it's a match that we've talked about for years. It's the Red Derby. There's so much hype in this game, and it's respectively so. Obviously you have Liverpool who have, found their form, truly are now one of the top teams in the Premier League. And then you have Manchester United still trying to get back from their glory days. Maybe our manager away from going back to those glory days. But obviously, you got the big names. On one side you have Sadio Mane, you have Mohamed Salah, you have Roberto Firmino. You have, from top to bottom, you have a very loaded roster. And you look at Manchester United, also very loaded roster. Cristiano Ronaldo, his return to the Red Derby. I mean, that's got to be It's got to be something that people are going to be pointing out.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously Greenwood, Rashford, all they got exciting names as well, just as much as Liverpool does. The question is going to go all the way down to who wants it more and who has the better strategy. And obviously, when it comes to strategy, that goes down to the managers. And when it comes to heart, I mean, can Manchester United cover up for Ole Gunnar's faults? And so that's going to be the big factor into this game. Can Manchester United help Ole Gunnar look somewhat as a decent manager? Because this is going to be the game. I think this is going to be the game that dictates what Manchester United needs to start doing as far as thinking is Ole Gunnar their guy. It's going to be an intense game. I'm really looking forward to it. One, because I am not involved with any of these teams, so I could just watch it and not feel any anxiety.
We're skin in the game, absolutely. I'll have enough anxiety for both of us, mate. Don't you worry.
Oh, and don't worry, Edward, as a Manchester United fan, will have to deal with this. So, which is the co-host of my podcast. So,
yep.
So I mean, yeah, he's got some things going on. I troll with him with the whole Ole Gunnar we trust, and he hates me for it, and so much now even more because I made a T-shirt of it. So yeah, without his approval. But I mean, I think at the end of it all, it's going to be who wants it more. I think Harry Maguire is going to be a big factor for me for Manchester United. If he's on the field and not 100%, well, congratulations, Liverpool, you're going to win this game. If he's not on the field, congratulations, Liverpool, you're going to win this game. So I think it really does dictate to what happens, what's going on with Harry Maguire. But at the same time, once again, can Manchester United help elongate Ole Gunnar stay at Manchester United? And I don't think it's going to happen. I think Liverpool is just the league's better. I know that Liverpool has still yet to have suffered a loss. I think Liverpool fans are gonna be able to breathe for at least one more week before catching their first loss.
Well, interesting. I'm glad you said that, Hector. I hope you're right. More than anything in the world, I really, really hope you're right.
And Paul, if you're listening to this, I am sorry, bro. But
it's interesting that he's decided to step out when this is the big game this weekend.
You couldn't pull a Michael Jordan and have your flu game here.
Definitely listen in next week because I'm sure there'll be some banter flying around regardless of the result here. I actually think I hate saying this, but in the big games, Liverpool's defense has had a little bit of a wobble. You look at Atletico Madrid just gone. You look at the Chelsea game. You look at the Manchester City game. I just don't. I mean, they're good enough to ensure the 3 points against probably everyone else in the league, outside of the top 4 or 5. But I feel like, and this is what's going to cost us doing anything significant this season as far as winning trophies. I just don't think that we're going to get the job done. I think it's going to be a score draw, not 1-1, anything above that. 2-2, 3-3, hell, maybe even 4-4. I think it's going to be a draw, just because I don't really trust our defense. Van Dijk's still coming back into it. There's question marks over Matip's speed. Joe Gomez obviously hasn't gained the manager's trust yet. So, yeah, that's just my pick. And maybe I'm just being uber pessimistic because I don't want to jinx my team. But this is just how I feel at the moment. So I'm going for a draw. Hector's flying the flag. He's going for Liverpool to win this one. And gee whiz, I hope you're right, mate.
I'm also doing this in hopes that Manchester United loses, so Edward can feel my pain. He messes with me every single day. He always reminds me about how Jacques is still on the team, even though he's not playing right now. There's moments where I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to mess too much with him with Barcelona because obviously, like, just Barcelona is kind of more and more becoming Arsenal, where I think they're treating Barcelona fans kind of like how I said in our introduction to to me being on this podcast has been, which is just everyone trying to gives me pity and treats me like I have a deadly disease. So now I feel like Barcelona fans are kind of now experiencing that. So now I'm like, if I make fun of Barcelona, I kind of feel like a dick. So I mean, Manchester United, you know what? You spend way too much money to not be good, to be not good. So you deserve every right. Like you're the guy that drives a new Tesla and gets mad because there's a malfunction. So you have every right to be messed with.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with those sentiments more, mate. Just quickly, a couple of quick match facts for this one. Manchester United have won just one of their last 10 Premier League meetings with Liverpool, having drawn 6 and lost 3. They lost this exact fixture 4-2 last season. And Liverpool are unbeaten in 18 league games, the longest current run in the top 4 tiers of English football. Away from home, the Reds have scored at least 3 goals in each of their last 5 Premier League games, 17 in total. So Manchester United are the only side to have actually had a longer run than that in the competition ever. And that was last season when they did it in 6 consecutive away games. So that's something that's a little bit interesting there. So thanks for that, Hector. We've given a rundown of what we think is going to happen in the Premier League this week coming up. Definitely let us know how we went on Twitter or wherever you can find us. And fingers crossed. Geez, I hope you're right about the Liverpool United game, mate.
I hope so too.
All right, mate. Let's wrap this up. I'm actually 22 minutes late for class, so I'm just going to do this close and we'll take it from there, mate.
All right,
brother. Hector, thanks for making the save this week. Paul failed a late fitness test and you were ready to play and save the day for the After Extra Time podcast. Why don't you tell all the folks at home what you've got going on?
Obviously, you can always catch Insert Name FC on Fridays. That's when we drop our episodes. Just be on the lookout for that. Obviously, we're dropping an episode this week, this Friday, because obviously we got, we don't take days off unless there's a giant snowstorm coming in the state of Texas where we don't know how to prepare that with that, and then we got a total shutdown. So, and then you have your senator leaving to Mexico on a vacation because he thought that was a good idea. But no, yeah. So obviously we drop our episodes on Fridays. It's pretty straightforward as it gets. You can follow us at Insert Name FC on Instagram and Twitter. We do have a link on our bios. That's where you can see where you can listen us through Spotify, Pandora, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your listen with. Obviously, shout out to the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network that we're part of. They help us get our sponsors and make sure that we're able to drop our episodes on a consistent basis. So yeah, props to them. There's a website on our link tree for that one, and of course all our great partners that we have so far, and our the Insert Name FC clothing store that we have. Hey, holidays are coming around the corner. Maybe you want to hook somebody up with some Insert Name FC swag, but maybe check us out first, see what we're all about before you join the Insert Name FC crew, because you're gonna love it. It's how we always say it. It's just two idiots talking soccer, and you know what? It works out pretty well for us.
Absolutely, mate. It is a great podcast. I will definitely leave your link tree link in the episode notes for this podcast. Definitely get out there and listen to it, folks. It's tremendous. If you enjoyed Paul and I talking trash, if you enjoyed Hector and I talking trash this week, you will definitely love Hector and Edward talking trash week to week on Insert Name FC. That's it for another episode of After Extra Time. Be sure to follow us at our Twitter account at @AfterET_podcast. Come on, guys. Who's got the After Extra Time handle? Hit me up. Let's work something out. I'm sick of saying this handle on this podcast. I want the After Extra Time podcast. So if you're out there on Twitter, send me a message. Let's work something out. Be sure to get all your latest football news at thesportsbank.net. And last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the Insert Name FC podcast. Until then, he's Hector Flores. I'm Stuart Kavanagh, and this has been After Extra Time. Catch you next week.